All right, let's get started. So I like to start by hitting my lower back. Okay, at this point I start my stopwatch. I would hit every region for 30 seconds straight, no breaks. All right, the more you're willing to dig in, the more it's gonna help you. The more you're willing to suffer now, the better you're gonna feel later, okay? So I hit my lower back, and then I transition after 30 seconds to my upper back. I like to have my hands above my head, really opens up my upper back, gets my shoulder blades out of the way. And from here, you can kind of lean into each armpit, really hit the lats, which are the long muscles along the side of our body that connect up to our armpit. And I lean over, I hit the other lat, each one for 30 seconds, okay? And from here, I transition the foam roller down to my hips. And what I'm doing is I'm gonna sit on the foam roller and then rotate sideways and try to find the meat, right? You don't wanna be rolling on bone because that's not gonna do us any good. So find the meat, find the glute or the butt cheek, and really put a lot of pressure rolling back and forth. Okay, my stopwatch is going, 30 seconds. Don't be afraid to get the high glute, almost where like your back transitions to your hips. Feels super, super good. Okay, so make sure then we hit the other side. So I rotate, I'm on the other glute now. Okay, 30 seconds on that one. From here, I'm gonna let the foam roller roll down. I'm gonna hit my hamstrings because when we're doing cardio, we operate in a reduced range of motion. So the muscles that are most important to foam roll is gonna be our lower back, our hips, our glutes, and our hamstrings, okay? So you notice how I want a little more pressure on each hamstring, so I'm taking one foot, I'm crossing it over on top of the other leg, and that puts more weight on the leg that's on the foam roller. Okay, from there you're gonna switch sides. Really, really digging in. And make sure you're kind of rotating your leg around, change the angle, hit all those muscle fibers. And we transition down to the calves. And again, you can roll both calves at one time, or like I like to do, I like a little more pain, a little more suffering. I'm gonna put one leg on top of the other and really dig into each calf. Same thing, I'm rotating. You notice how I'm turning my legs side to side, making sure I'm hitting every muscle fiber. And switch. Okay, very good. The next thing we're gonna hit is our IT band. The IT band is that stretch along the outside of your thighs. The way we're gonna hit that is I'm gonna turn sideways. I'm gonna put the foam roller right at the very base of my hip, kind of transitioning into my upper thigh. And then I'm gonna take my top leg, this one, put it flat on the ground, and then I put some weight into my forearm so I make sure that I can unweight my body a little bit. Because if you put full body weight on this, it's going to hurt, all right? So we're rolling up and down, back and forth. Then we transition, hit the other side, start at my hip, put my leg here, weight into my forearm. I'm just trying to take some weight off, all right? Ouch, it hurts so good. Okay, the last thing we hit with the foam roller, before we move on to the stretch, is we're gonna try to hit the inside of our thigh. So, the way I like to do that is I'll put the foam roller underneath my leg, and then I'm really just kind of hoisting my body weight up and trying to put as much pressure through this leg as I can. The inner thigh is definitely a little more awkward, but you can hit it. It just takes a little bit of practice. Okay, so we hit the inner thigh on that side. We switch over. We hit the inner thigh on this side. And that'll do it for the foam rolling, okay? So just a quick recap, make sure when you're going through this, at each phase, every time I transition, start your stopwatch for 30 seconds, okay? Mash that area as hard as you can for the full 30 seconds and then move on. And make sure that if you find an area of your body that's really tight, really tender, and it's almost like that, it feels like a trigger point, that's where you should spend some time just mashing, right? Because that means that that tissue is chronically tight, it's probably causing issues somewhere else in your body. So if you find one of those trigger points, like you can't put any pressure on it without pain, you need to work on it. Use a stopwatch, 30 seconds on each body part, okay? Let's transition to the stretch. Okay, let's go into the stretches. This first stretch is a dead hang with a chin tuck. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna tuck your chin into your chest, and then you're just gonna let the weight of your upper body bring you down to the ground. So tuck my chin, and then I just fold, really rounding my back, but keep my chin tucked. If this is first thing in the morning, you're gonna feel it's gonna light up all the way down your back, maybe even into your hips. Especially if you struggle with something like sciatica, oh boy, you're gonna feel it, okay? So we're feeling the weight. Don't get hung up on touching your toes, whether or not you can. You can put your hands flat on the ground. I don't care about any of that right now. I'm just focusing on letting the weight of my torso pull me down, pull my hamstrings. Boom. Okay, 30 seconds has gone by. So now we're gonna go to our sideline quad. With the quad, it's very important that we're not hunched up into a ball. So if my hips are in front of me like this and I'm pulling my heel to my butt, I don't feel anything. So where that stretch is gonna come from is you have to push your hips through so you're a straight line from heel all the way up to the back of your head. Push your hips through and then pull your heel to your butt. That's gonna get you the stretch, okay? So this one we're feeling on the front side of our thigh. 30 seconds. Boom, switch. Make sure I grab top of my foot, push my hips through so I'm a straight line, heel to back of my head, and pull, okay? All right, 30 seconds there. From here, we're gonna go to our seated butterfly stretch. So for this one, you're gonna put the bottoms of your feet together. You're gonna hike them in as far as you can get them. And then if this is enough right here, which it may be, that's totally fine, just hold it. If you can do a little bit more, you can grab your ankles, put your elbows on your thighs, and then you're gonna push your knees down. Sometimes you see people who are in like karate or something, they'll have their instructor will come around and they'll stand on their knees and flatten to the ground. That's some next level mobility. So start here, work your way up. Boom, 30 seconds. Next up, we're gonna do piriformis. So the piriformis is a muscle in the deep glute. So we're gonna do a stretch that we're trying to target your glutes. So set up for this one, I'm gonna show you a straight on angle. So you're gonna lay down, you're gonna cross one ankle on top of your knee, one hand will go through, grab the front of my knee, the other hand comes around, and then I pull. Okay, and I'm feeling this stretch way up here. All right, that's what we want. So we pull, 30 seconds, boom, ankle goes across on top of my knee, one hand goes through, one hand goes around, and I pull. Okay, 30 seconds. Next stretch we got is a hip flexor stretch. So the way we do the hip flexor stretch is we're going to be on a half kneeling position. Actually, I'll go this way so you guys can see. So for the hip flexor stretch, the hip flexor is actually right here. It's on the front of my hip. It goes from like mid quad and it actually goes and attaches to our spine. So your hip flexor is something that's gonna get really tight if you're doing a lot of running, if you're doing a lot of cycling, even rowing, anything, or even a lot of sitting. Anything where you're in that reduced range of motion for an extended period of time, okay? So this one's super, super important. So I'm in this half kneeling, I go hands on my hips, and then what I'm thinking about is I'm not letting my chest come out like this, I'm not leaning back. I engage my core, bring my ribs down, and then I sink forward, and I'm trying to create space in this joint. So as I sink forward, you see how this thigh is leaning forward now? Right here is where I'm feeling the stretch. That's good. Okay, so we sink into it, tight abs. Don't let your ribs flare out. Okay, 30 seconds, and switch. Sinking forward, tight core, not letting my ribs flare out, keeping everything stacked. And resist the urge to lean forward when we do this. As soon as you lean forward, it takes the stretch off of the hip flexor, right? And now I just feel like I'm holding my weight up. So keep your weight central, sink forward into your hips, make your hips do the work. Okay? And relax. Next up, we have a calf stretch. Lots of ways to do the calf stretch. If you can find a step and just let your heel drop, that's fine. This is the way that I like to do it, even though it is a little challenging sometimes on the shoulders. So you start here, push-up position, bring your butt up in the air, looking kind of like a teepee, and then I'm gonna take one leg, cross on top of the other, and then I kind of just want to walk back until my heel is almost flat. Now I'm just gonna hold it. This is lighting up the entire back side of my leg right now. The entire back side of my leg. Okay, 30 seconds, and then I switch sides, and I'm using this top foot to try to push that heel into the ground. Notice how my right leg right now is all the way straight. That's what's allowing me to feel this stretch from my ankle all the way up to my glute. And relax. And don't forget, it's okay if your shoulders burn out, you need to take a little rest. That's totally fine. That happens. It's tough. It's tough on the shoulders. All right, the next one I need, this will work right here. Okay, this next one is a wall lat stretch. You can use a wall, you can use a bench, you can use a chair, anything that's a platform roughly around hip height that you can put your hands on, okay? So I'm gonna put my hands on this bin, I'm gonna walk my knees away like this, and then all I'm trying to do is drop my chest and my head through my arms like this. You're gonna feel this in your armpits, in your upper back, your chest, your shoulders. It's really gonna help us try to undo some of our lack of posture, you know, while we're sitting on our smartphones or typing out emails or whatever it is that you do. Okay, 30 seconds there. Done with this. Okay, and then the last stretch, and quite possibly my favorite stretch, is the spine twist. So for the spine twist, you're gonna lay down on your back. You're gonna take one leg, bring it up, and then just swing it over and really let the weight of that leg come to the ground. And then this arm naturally wants to come up. I'm gonna try to force that shoulder back down to the ground. And then I use this hand right here, put it on my knee, and I pull. Take a couple deep breaths. 30 seconds is a long time. You definitely don't wanna be holding your breath. Okay, 30 seconds. And then I switch. I take my left leg now, bring it up, just let it flop over, and then I'm trying to keep this shoulder on the ground while pulling on this knee. And 30 seconds, and we are done. Okay, so obviously there's stretches in here that I didn't cover, there's foam rolling parts that I didn't cover, but this is a really simple, easy stretching and foam rolling routine that's gonna help you stay limber, it's gonna help your joint range of motion, it's gonna get your blood pumping, but it's gonna make sure that you feel good when you get on the dirt bike, and it's gonna make sure you're jump starting your recovery when you get off the dirt bike. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next one.